Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be upon you all. This is the MVN method. Originally, it is dedicated to assess the mitral valve during end systole in patients with mitral valve prolapse or flail, and it really traces the prolapsing segment and traces the coaptation gap, if any, and it gives you an area for the malcoaptation gap in millimeters square. The good thing about this method, it really traces the area in real three-dimensional fashion, different from the MPR1. This is going up and down, back and forth. So if the points are not at the same plane, it goes back and forth, up and down, and it really gives you a real three-dimensional trace of the coaptation gap. So the idea was to use this method in diastole rather than systole in patients with mitral valve stenosis due to rheumatic heart disease. And as you can see, it really gives you a very good delineation of the mitral valve area during diastole. And as you can appreciate, it gives you a very good model for the mitral valve during diastole. And it shows here, this is the mitral annulus, aorta, and here's the mitral valve opening. And here we are looking from the left atrial perspective, and here from the side, to appreciate here that the commissures are at a different level than the tips of the mitral valve, which is the case in many patients, as we have explained. In December 2016, we have presented this as an abstract in the EuroEcho meeting in Germany, and then lastly, in last December 2017, a year after, we published the full paper with 30 patients under the title of A Novel Method to Measure Mitral Valve Area in Patients with Rheumatic Mitral Stenosis Using Three-Dimensional Trans-esophageal Echocardiography, Feasibility, and Validation. Myself and the team compared this method with the MPR method of the mitral valve area calculation driven from the same frame of the three-dimensional TOE volume, and we compared both to the gold standard method, which is the Gorlins formula, and we have found that our method is more correlated and more close to the Gorlins invasive method, and it was consistently larger by few millimeters than the MPR method. And someone can say, what few millimeters can do with the patient management? Yes, it can do a lot if you have discrepancy between different measurements, and if you have a patient that you don't know if it is severe or moderate mitral stenosis, this is the best method to give you the anatomical mitral valve area precisely in three-dimensional fashion. And also you can use it in the cath lab in patients undergoing balloon mitral valvuloplasty, because those patients will have open commissures after the ballooning. These open commissures will definitely be at a different level than the tips of the mitral valve. So simple planimetry by 2D or even by the MPR-driven 3D planimetry will not consider the commissures, but this MVN method will consider and take the commissures into account. This is before and this is after balloon valvuloplasty. Let's see how to do it in a very simple step-by-step fashion. Okay, now this is a 3D TOE volume for the mitral valve. I'm now looking from the left atrial perspective. This is the aortic valve, and this is the left atrial appendage. This is the mitral valve, anterior mitral leaflet, posterior leaflet, and here is the posterior medial commissure, anterolateral commissure, and you can see this is rheumatic mitral stenosis with fused commissures, and here's the right atrium. So now what we're gonna do is use the MVN method, mitral valve navigation, one click. Once we click it, we have explained how to use this particular method, the MVQ, previously in QLab 9, to assess the mitral valve in systole. But now we'll go quickly again for the same steps, but in mitral stenosis. First of all, you need to align these frames according to what the software tells you. So once you come here, the software will give you a diagram in order to align your image exactly the same way. So it needs here long axis, and here, once you come here, it gives you the commissural view, and once you come here, it needs you to put the annulus and the aortic valve in this particular manner. So I will go here again. So it needs the aortic valve to be looking to the left side of the square. So I will come here by the arrow, curved arrow, and click, hold, and then rotate the whole image. I'm holding, rotating, rotating, till I get the aortic valve pointing to the left, exactly like here. And then here, it needs the commissural view, and here needs the short axis at the mitral annulus. So this is the blue frame, and this is the blue line. So I will take the blue line up in order to cut at the annulus, like that, and here as well. Okay, and I will put this green line. Once I move the green line, the green image will change because it represents the green image. So in the middle here, so it gives me the short axis here at the annulus and the aortic valve. But here, end systolic frame as suggested by the software, because as I said before, it is dedicated to assist the mitral valve during systole. But now I need the diastolic frame, so I'll go number 4 here. Mitral valve starts to open. Now I'm in diastole, but I need the maximum opening, 5. This is better, 6, closed again. So let's go for 5. So I'll consider this as the maximum mitral valve opening, but I need this to be perpendicular here to the mitral valve. So I can see long axis here. I can see more or less commissural. And I will come down by the blue line here at the level of the annulus. Okay, so I can see a short axis view of the annulus, and this is the aortic valve. Now I'm satisfied with the orientation of my image. I choose my frame and I align my image. So I will lie at the software. It needs here end systolic frame confirmation. It's a white lie, but it is worth it. So I just confirm as if this is the end systolic frame. Confirm. Now the image alignment, I already aligned my image as the software needs. So next, and then it will give me few points to put. AL anterolateral here, then PM posteromedial, 1 click, left click, PA. So once I cross the line, it changes into a P. Posterior, and here is A. Anterior, it gives me 2 more points. The nadir, I will put it exactly at the tip of the mitral valve, and aorta distal aortic annulus point. So I am now ready to move forward. Next, it will automatically trace the rest of the mitral annulus. So now it gives me a model for the mitral valve during diastole. Here, you can see the doming of the mitral valve during diastole. Just from the controls view, I will magnify. Okay, I'll go back to the tasks. Now, annulus editing, I'm satisfied by the annulus. Otherwise, I can edit the annulus if I want, but again, I'm not interested in the annulus. I'm interested in the mitral valve area. So done. Now, the commissural editing. This is the most important point in using this particular tool. So commissural editing, once you click commissural editing, it will give you this short axis view for the mitral valve. That was the lower left square, but you will not be able to edit this in this view. So you need to click this again in order to see the quad display. You can look to the mitral valve from the left atrial perspective here. And now, please focus with me, because once you click on this, you can see here, this is the long axis view of the mitral valve at the level of the red frame. This is the red frame here. Okay, so this is the long axis at this level. Once I click here, you'll see a lot of red frames or red lines inside the mitral valve annulus here. And once I move by my green circle, it will give me, the image here will change accordingly, because it will give me the long axis view along each line I'm on. So this is the long axis. Look at here once I move here. So please, once I move my cursor here, look at what happened here. So once I move here, the image will change in this right upper quadrant. So I will go laterally to the annulus. Now 2 leaflets are fused. I'll go medial. The view is changing. Still fused, fused, fused. Now the leaflet starts to open. So that means this is the first frame that shows the leaflet opening. So I'll go back 1 frame till they close. And then I will release. Okay? I will do the same here for the medial commissure. I'll click. So it will turn to be green, and then I will go back or laterally to the annulus, and then I will go medial. I'm looking now to the right upper quadrant. Okay, still fused, 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 still fused. Once they separate, this is the separation. Here I will go back to the frame that they were fused in, the first frame of fusion, and then I will release. Okay? So this is the most important step, because now you are counting the commissures and you are considering the commissures in your calculation. Now next. This is the leaflet trace. Again, I'm not interested in the leaflets anymore, but I'll just do it quickly. Next. Next. The yellow circles are for the annulus, and the green dotted line is for the leaflets. You can change the leaflet tracing by just clicking, left click and hold, and just go through them, and they will follow your course. And I have a sign here which is not active. It will be active later on. This is also very important. Next. Now I have the green line of the leaflets, and I have a red square here. This red square is the coaptation point, the commissural point. So once I click this, by right click, it will turn to be green, and then I will take it to the line here. Okay? So moving, so controlling the coaptation points will be by the right click and hold. Controlling the leaflets will be by the left click and hold. Then next. Now it became active, and I have the red coaptation point and the green leaflet trace. Now, because I see separation, I will click this to separate. Okay, if I click it again, it will fuse, but there is separation, so I click separate, then control this by the right click and hold, put it at the leaflet tip, and right click and hold, put it at the leaflet tip. This is a valve apparatus, so you don't have to trace this. Again, next, separate, right click and hold, then right click and hold, and the leaflets are okay with me. Next, separate again. Is also separate, and take the leaflets, put them at the tips, and then next, separate, right click and hold, leaflets are okay. Again, separate. Okay, this is the leaflet tips. Down this valve apparatus, I will take the leaflet by the left click. This is very important. The commissural points, you have to deal with them first by the right click, and then the leaflets by the left click. If you start by the leaflets first and then you touch it, the tips, everything will get distorted. So if you, for example, if you trace the leaflet like that, and then you blade with this, again the leaflets will be distorted. So you have to address the coaptation first by the right click, and then deal with the leaflets by the left click. Now, the last commissural point, and this is not active anymore because there is no separation. You'll just take it and put it at the line. Now I'm ready. The second one, there is no red points, so I'm ready to see the quad screen again. And here's the quad screen display. You can see the mitral valve area was traced. I can highlight this alone. Here's the mitral valve model during diastole. You can see here the mitral valve area, and you can really appreciate that if you look from the side, that the commissures are at a different level than the tips of the mitral valve. And you can see also the mitral valve orifice area was traced here and given 157 millimeter square. That means 1.5 centimeter squares. So this is the high level of severe mitral stenosis. So this is how to use the MVN tool to calculate the mitral valve area in patients with mitral valve stenosis, step by step. And this is how the software will give you the area. It will name it as mitral valve MR orifice area. I hope that was helpful. And again, I have to remind you, this is a validated method. We compared this head-to-head to the MBR method, and we found our method is more closer to the invasively measured mitral valve area using Gordon's formula. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope all of you will use it, and I will be very happy to receive your questions, comments, and feedback either below the video on the YouTube or in the Facebook or Twitter. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.